If you're scared of high pitches, I want to talk about today how you can minimize the fear and how you can maybe nail them better. So stay tuned. You know that feeling you are singing through a song, maybe in a performance or in your lesson, and then there's this high part coming up and you're getting nervous, you're starting to breathe a little bit more shallow, and there it is. And then it doesn't work. And then you crack, and then you just don't get the pitch right. I want to talk about a little bit today how you can minimize your fear. Now, of course, fear is false evidence appearing real. That's kind of an acronym for the word, and I like reminding myself of, okay, fear is something that I have because maybe I just don't have enough knowledge yet, or maybe I haven't done enough research to where I feel very confident about that thing that I'm fearful about. So number one is, are you singing the song in a key that is doable? I mean, you could practice all you want to, and if you're in a key that is simply too high for your voice, to where it's not just challenging, but it's really way beyond what you're capable of, then maybe you need to consider changing the key to a lower one. The second thing is, what are you doing before the high pitch is coming up? Usually it's not the high pitch on its own. So the first thing you do to just really check if your high pitch is the actual problem or your approach from what comes before to your high pitch is the problem, which it can both be the case, is just to practice the high pitch. Isolate that passage in your music that you're trying to sing, isolate it, change the vowel, and maybe just do an exercise on na or ma or na 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 na, or anything that just makes it a little bit easier, that isolates just that high pitch. When you then sing through the entire passage, knowing that you already could nail it, when it's taken out of context, will really give you more confidence. And also, of course, you can try to focus on technicalities, on, am I even breathing right? Am I placing that vowel correctly? Do I have good resonance? Am I even supporting right? Do I have compression? Do I expand before that phrase comes up? And then the next thing, if you can still do that, if you can do that isolated pitch just on its own, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do it in connection to the entire phrase where it's in the music. So then what I always do is maybe I just not only sing that one pitch, but I back up just a little bit. I just back up to what comes right before the pitch, maybe add one more pitch. So instead of na, I go like na na. So basically I just add the pitch that comes right before that high pitch. If that also works out okay, then I add one more pitch before that one. Na, na, na. So that's just an example. I'm just making this up. See how that goes? You just backtrack. You just go one step backward, one step backward, one step backward, until maybe then you are back to the point at which you take the breath before the entire phrase comes up. I mean, sometimes, of course, it's the high pitch that you start the phrase with, and then that's really cool. Maybe you just need to check, do I take a good enough breath? Maybe that phrase that comes before that breath, and then, followed by that high pitch that you're so afraid of, maybe you don't give yourself enough time. Maybe there's not a lot of time to expand, and maybe you just need to work on that connection piece of na 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 na. So if that's the case, you need to practice on the transition between one phrase and the next. Another thing is, if you don't want to be afraid of your highest pitches, you have to practice often. And don't practice through the song often, because probably 99.9% of the song doesn't consist of that pitch that you're afraid of. So don't sing through the song over and over and over again, because it's not going to help you with your high pitch. A lot of repetition of just that part will familiarize you with that part. And I feel like that when I'm familiar with something, and I know I've done it many, 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 many times, more than anything else, I focus on it so differently. The next thing is, of course, psychologically. Sometimes we do have to sing pitches that are right at the limit. I've had to sing many arias where, it was the high E and it came up. It's hard, but meditation really helps. Meditation trains your brain to be emptied, basically, to not have all these thoughts floating around. And I found that meditation can really help me not focus, not focus, but let go of thoughts, let go of, I'm thinking of this one thing, but just really having some, like, just a empty space there. You don't, of course, want to have an empty space, but here's the thing. If you have isolated that pitch, and if you have practiced it over and over again, and if you generally have practiced high pitches like such as this one many times, and you've practiced your phrase and it has worked in practice sessions, then that's the point at which you need to rely on your autopilot and not overly focus. Everything's going to happen, and then what you need to try to do is just, that's what I do. I don't know if you've ever watched Happy Gilmore. It's a really funny movie with Adam Sandler, but in that movie, he goes to his happy place and he imagines his grandmother having fun and having money and drinking beer in the yard. It's really fun. And he imagines his, the girl that he kind of is in love with, that she's there, and she's dressed a little skimpy, but that's his happy place. So I want you to think of, really ahead of time, think of what is your happy place. What is some thought that makes you really happy? Maybe it's just even picturing the applause, or maybe it's just picturing or listening for that spin in the pitch. And I do that sometimes, to where I either just try to cut off everything and just think of the happy place, to, when I can tell I'm starting to get nervous a bit because it's coming up, I'm just trying to relax myself by going to the happy place. But sometimes I really just try to focus on what it's going to sound like. And I'm just really picturing myself and hearing that tone that's coming out. And a lot of times when you hear something, it makes it so much easier to imitate it then. I just try to imagine that ease that I have by just singing that high pitch, and it's just gonna float there. It's just gonna float and it's gonna sound amazing. So you have to kind of trick your mind into just looking forward to something like that. You don't wanna train your mind to be scared, because the more you are scared, the more it's not going to work, and the more you're going to be scared again. So it's this vicious cycle that you want to try to break out of, to always stay positive, to always just expect the good and expect the positive. And if it doesn't work, don't cringe right away. Don't go like, oh, I cracked, and then you have that face. You have to get used to, even in performance or even in practice, you have to practice that at home already, to not cringe, not on the inside and not on the outside, but just to very neutrally just, be critical and say, that didn't work because I didn't do this or I did that. Just be constructive in your criticism to yourself. Don't put yourself down. Don't just be like, oh my goodness, I'm never gonna get it. Well, that's not true. Maybe you're not getting it right now, but there are reasons why. So be very logical, be very straight to the point. Just be very systematic and come up with a plan to, it's like, okay, this is how I can do it, and this is what I would need to do in order to do it. And well, I can't do it now, so maybe I just need to lower the key a half a step, and then it is totally doable, and then I don't have to freak out all the time. And then I just can continue working like on my own. Like at home, I'll just keep on doing belting exercises or those high head voice exercises that will stretch my vocal cords. I mean, it's like your body, right? Your body needs time to develop into, maybe stretching further, going higher with your pitches. It takes time, and until you're actually there, do something that is actually achievable. And in the meantime, just keep practicing the stuff that's really hard. Thank you so much for watching today. Check out my Facebook group that is free. You could join it and we can continue the conversation there. Lots of really cool people, other people who love singing. It's called Master Your Voice. Check it out. And if you have a little bit of time on your hands, if you have not read my book, Master Your Voice, it's available on Amazon. I'll put the link below. It's also available as an audiobook. I wish you the most wonderful day. Always keep a song in your heart and always keep on singing. Bye.
Let the sky fall when it crumbles.